Welcome back, YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning into this video. This is going to be 100. This is going to be the 100th video on the channel. And guess what? We are actually starting the race truck today. It's going to happen. I'm super pumped, super excited. As long as everything else goes smoothly as far as wrapping this thing up, it's going to be firing off today. As you saw, we got some fuel sitting down here. Some Jet A. We threw some additive in it. Why not? We had it. We have our Parker Quick Connect fittings. I'm going to go over these. This is going to be perfect. I'm so happy that I decided to go with that route because it's going to be super clean as far as our fuel setup goes underneath the truck there. We got all of our oil is dumped in. Our starter is going to be here very soon. The coolant, we still got to go pick up coolant, but we're going to have that today. We are pretty much going to wrap up the fuel system real quick. We don't have a fuel cell, obviously, right now, but we're actually going to just go ahead and run some lines into that tank over there, and then we can pull our fuel from there. We'll check for fuel leaks, monitor our fuel pressure, get that squared away where we want it to be there, and then we're going to be close. So, like I said, as long as everything goes smoothly, we don't have anything like crazy leaks or anything like that, we'll get the starter on next. We'll get this thing filled with coolant, and then try to get it warmed up in here because it is freaking cold. I mean, it's underneath, it's under 20 degrees right now, so it's freaking cold out here. So yeah, let's go over these fuel quick connect fittings, and then we're gonna crawl underneath the truck. All right, so here are our fuel quick connect fittings here. Right here we have 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch hose barb, and then here we have 12 millimeter to 1/2 inch hose barb. We also have a 90. We are actually missing one. I had ordered another 90 for the 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch, and for some reason they couldn't get them. They wouldn't sell them or something like that. So we are actually ordered another straight one so that we can work with that. But basically the two 90s are going to be for the secondary fuel filter, and then the straight ones are going to be for our 6.7 fuel pump. So these things are freaking awesome. These are going to be really nice as far as serviceability goes. And the part numbers on these things, there's your straight ones. There's your 12 millimeter to 1/2 inch straight. And this is going to be your 12 millimeter to 1/2 inch barb with a 90. These are really, really nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to end up throwing a hose clamp around the hose barb part, but this is going to look so nice underneath there. So let's grab these, we'll crawl underneath the truck, and we'll start hooking these up. Alright, so recap what you guys just saw there. We changed the main fuel filter that's inside of here. There is a little stopper up there, so as soon as this thing hits that stopper, that's how tight this thing goes. You don't want to go past that because you'll actually break this housing. This is your water separator. You got to pull that off and then drop this out. Change your filter, change that O-ring up there. Make sure you lubricate that, and bada boom, bada bing. We got our first hose back off of there, where we just had it hose clamped. Real quick, this is the return side. These are both 12 millimeter. That's on the return side. And then our feed side, which is going to be this line, and then the other line on the other side. That is our feed. That is the 1/2 inch quick connect style there. For our secondary fuel filter up there, one of them is 1/2 inch and one of them is 12 millimeter. So that's the big differences, and that's why we had to go get these specialty fittings, because we don't want any leaks, and we want this to be very serviceable. So we're going to get the rest of this push lock hose off, and then we'll get started on these fittings. Okay guys, so back underneath the truck here, you can see this is going to be our feed side. This 1/2 inch right here, and then that barb right there. That's going to be our feed side. That's going to go through the filter, come back out. Unfortunately, because we couldn't get that 190 degree, we jump across over to here. That's because on a factory 6.7 fuel filter, the secondary fuel filter, it goes to this port before, and it gets filtered again before it goes to this port. So we have to go kind of loop this around, go into the secondary fuel filter, come back out. This is where it switches over to the 12 millimeter. We can go run that up to our push lock right there. And then that will go through the heads. We're going to check our fuel pressure, and then it will come out through this line, which is the bottom of the regulator. You can see it comes back out. I got it looped around the back side of the secondary fuel filter, and then boom, comes across and goes back through the normal regulated part of the normal return port for the 6.7 fuel pump. So we are going to run this. This is going to be our return back to the tank. That's going to be our feed over here. So we're going to get those plumbed real quick. We'll go grab our fuels, little bit of fuel that we got over there. We'll run some lines into it, and then we'll be able to check our fuel leaks. Once we do that, we can wrap up all these lines, make sure everything is nice and where I want it to be, routed the right way, and we'll be good to go. All right, so here's where we're at. We got our feed and our return into a little 5-gallon bucket that has our fuel in it. So we got the light stuck underneath there. What we're first gonna do is we're gonna hit the key. We're gonna check our fuel pressure via the gauge right here. We'll get that set first, unless there's some major fuel leak and we're pouring all over the place. Then obviously we can address that first before we worry about fuel pressure. But that is going to be our starting point. We will check that first, make sure that it's adequate. We want to be right around 60 psi. So yeah, we're going to start there. We're going to get our fuel pressure set up, and then hopefully we don't have any major fuel leaks. I'm going to set you guys up. Hopefully you guys point it out if you see a giant fuel leak. Let's give her a shot. One more thing too, guys. I wanted to mention that you know, anything that's with an AN that you tightened up, just go back through, double check them all before you try this, just to be 100% positive, because you know, you're doing all that twisting with those lines, trying to get them all squared away. So just kind of go back through, give them another wrench, make sure that they're nice and tight. What I'm probably going to do is have the key on and then just leave one of the battery cables loose. That way I can just unhook that one battery cable real quick, and we should be squared away. We don't have to hop in and out of the truck trying to shut it off with a huge, you know, if we have a huge fuel leak. So I'm only going to hook up this side battery. That should be plenty of power to get everything running. And we're only going to do this for a short amount of time, just to double check fuel pressure and everything like that. So that way we can stand right there. So let's give her help. Alright, so I got the key on right now. We're going to touch the negative battery cable on this side. We have our positive hooked up over there, but we have our ground unhooked. We're not going to be cranking on it. All we're doing is double checking, make sure we don't have any fuel leaks, and check this fuel pressure. So I'm going to give her a hit, and we'll see how fast that fuel bowl can fill up underneath the truck. Okay, so our fuel pump shut off. That's all part of what's inside the truck there. So I didn't see anything. We're at about 20 psi. We don't have any fuel dripping all over the place or anything like that. So we're going to cycle the key one more time and do it again. Okay, so that time we had jumped up. We went to up just over. We maxed out what the pump was putting out. And we kept backing it off. Finally, right towards the end there, we started to see our fuel pressure come down. And then all of a sudden, the pump shut off. So we're going to cycle it one more time. This should be the last time. We should be able to get it dialed in and exactly where we want it. I'm going to try to set it for right around 55 psi. And then we're going to have to probably make some adjustments once we take it down the road. And I'll kind of discuss all about that stuff and wide open throttle and how much you want it to drop, how, you know, and all that stuff later on. But we'll cycle the key one more time and do it again. Real quick, go ahead and cycle the key here. And here our fuel pump just kicked on. A little over 55 PSI, just where we want it. All right, so as you guys just saw, we got this up to about 56, 57 PSI. That'll work for what we're doing here. We're gonna go ahead and tighten this lock nut right here while we hold it on the top there. We have accomplished this and don't have any major fuel leaks. Thank goodness. We'll probably leave that thing underneath the truck there as soon as we get the starter on, and then do the coolant, and then we'll freaking fire this thing off, bud. I am so excited. All right, so a couple of days later now, guys, we have our starter, we have our coolant, we got everything sitting right here. As you can see, we got an extra gallon of oil, we got some Merc LV for the trans fluid, Merc 5 for the power steering fluid, so we should be all set for that. We have a brand new 6.4 liter starter, completely bolt-on for that. It is actually super nice out. It is Saturday in Michigan. Right now we have the barn up to just over 40 degrees, so very excited about this warm weather. Tomorrow's going to be even warmer. We are either going to be starting the truck tonight or tomorrow morning, but either way, we're going to get the starter on at least, maybe start dumping some coolant in this thing and just kind of crank on it and make sure everything's squared away with that. My buddy's going to be coming over, the guy that you've been seeing in the previous videos that's kind of helped with putting this thing together. He wants to come over and check it out and basically just help me look for leaks, and we might even take this thing down the road. I don't know. We're going to have to figure out something with the fuel so that we can take it down the road maybe, since tomorrow it might be 50 degrees in Michigan. So very excited, very, very excited. We're going to go ahead and get this starter slapped on here and keep moving forward. So for those of you that haven't heard about the 6.4 liter starter upgrade on your 6.0 Power Stroke, like I mentioned, this is a completely bolt-on starter. And what makes this so beneficial is that the gear reduction in this starter compared to your factory 6.0 starter is way higher and actually allows the truck to spin over much, much faster, which helps you build more oil pressure quickly, which then can benefit you in cold starts. It can benefit you whenever you do something like this where you have the whole oil system apart. It basically is just going to spin the truck over a lot faster, which gives you better startups, quicker startups. So this is a huge upgrade. I got this one off Amazon. It's an OEM Ford starter, which is what I would recommend that you go with, because these are going to be the best quality overall. So not really too crazy as far as the procedure to put this on. Factory bolts, like I said, completely bolt on. And then anytime you guys do anything with your starter, please unhook your negative battery cables. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to go crawl underneath there, stick this bad boy on. All right, so we just got the starter done. That is on. That is all hooked back up. We got the batteries hooked back up. We have a little charger going on here. We're going to start dumping coolant into this thing, and then we're going to hit the starter wire over there to start building oil pressure. Guys, say a quick prayer, okay? Hopefully everything goes smoothly. We don't have any leaks. We don't have any issues. We can build some oil pressure. We can be set, ready to go. We are probably going to set our CTS up so that we can monitor everything that we want to monitor when we're cranking this thing up. Its temperature in here is starting to climb pretty good, so hopefully the oil temperature is going to work well with us, and we'll be able to get it up as high as possible so that this thing fires right up for us. So it'll be interesting to see how long we're going to have to crank on it to fill the oil cooler. The filter we pre-filled with all of the lines and stuff. We filled the valley up with oil as well. So hopefully it starts up relatively quick for us. We're going to keep an eye on the oil level. I'm going to kind of see how much extra oil we might have to add with this system. So let's get some coolant in this thing and see what happens. Alright, so it's the next morning here. We put the battery charger on the batteries there so that they could charge up. We're going to go ahead and install the stack and route the whole exhaust so that when we fire this thing off, we can see if there's any smoke or anything like that. So yeah, we got our 4-inch hole saw, and we've already drilled a pilot hole from the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and drill this one, and we're probably going to redesign this setup here, but temporarily, this is what we're going to do. Should be fine. So, yeah, let's get to cutting. Alright, so the stack is in. We don't have it fully clamped up or anything like that. We just got it kind of set up because we are going to be, like I mentioned, we're going to be pulling the bed off to do some stuff back here. But batteries are fully charged. We got coolant, oil. We're at 5 gallons of oil right now. We're going to crank on it over there real quick, and then we'll hop in the truck. I'll show you the gauges that I have set up, and then we'll start this thing up.
Dude, that thing cranks fine. Is that the 6.4 starter? Or what starter is that? Is it a 6.4 starter?
6.4. Yep.
I think, is that the gear reduction?
It's a bad girl.
Yeah, it is, dude. It's cranking this thing like no problem.
Okay, so for my gauges here, we have our IPR percentage. That's going to let us know that's probably going to jump to 85%, but then that's slowly going to come down as we build oil pressure. Our ICP, that's our most important one. We need 500 ICP pressure for this truck to start. There's our Fickum voltage at 47.5. We don't want that to drop any lower than that, really, 47. So yeah, RPM, that's going to tell us that our crank position sensor's working correctly and everything like that. So this is what we have set up right now. We're probably going to play with these a little bit once we get the truck up and running, because we don't really need to monitor this type of stuff. But so watching this number, we're sitting at 20. We're going to go ahead and crank on it and see if she starts.
Against your neck in here. Give her like 1,500. Let him hear it.
Alright guys, so we were having a problem actually with the Fickum cam and crank sync, like the overall sync. We were having a problem with that. I'm not really too sure why. We wiggled some connectors over here, cleaned up a few things, and we actually got it to fire, which obviously is what you guys saw. We topped off our coolant there. We got everything buttoned back up. We have the little fuel tank in the bed here for now with our feed and return there. We had to pop the grill back off because we were leaking a little bit of oil from this galley plug there. But other than that, she is good to go. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up today's video. Hopefully you guys thoroughly enjoyed it. This is episode 100, and we fired up the race truck. We got this thing going. We took it down the road. Very, very exciting. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Very, very happy with how everything has come and turned out. We're still having problems with the cam and Fickum and crank sync. I'm not really too sure what's going on there. We might have to replace the cam sensor. We might have a wiring issue, but it does eventually fire up once we get Fickum sync. But it does take it a minute to get that sync. So we're going to be looking into that. We're going to be pulling the bed to get the bump stops on. We're going to be mounting those up. And then we'll completely get the bed bolted down. We'll finish up the exhaust system, get the fuel cell, and then this thing will be on its way to go into the racetrack. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you like, subscribe if you are new, leave a comment down below. We'll catch you guys in the next video.